The trouble was that also the light was getting very flat. It was late in the day, and because it was snowing harder and harder, it was very difficult to see the contours of the snow. Instead of going down the side of this ridge back into the ski area, I had skied off the back of the ridge, which meant I was out of bounds. What I realized when I did that was that I had only probably an hour and a half of daylight left, and that was a very scarce resource, that I could use that resource to try to get down the mountain, but I had no assurance that I was going to be able to because I was just completely lost. So I started looking around for a place to make a cave. I never made a cave before. I really didn't know how to do it. I had read, though, that it was the right thing to do in this kind of situation. I had my one good ski pole left, and I used that to dig with. And I dug a tunnel down into the snow, probably at about a 45-degree angle. And then at the base of that tunnel, at right angles to it, I scooped out an area probably the size of a couch in your living room. As I was doing it, there was nagging at me the idea that I knew I wasn't doing it right, that there was something I was doing wrong, and I remembered reading that there was a trick to building a snow cave, but I couldn't remember what it was, and I, of course, subsequently realized that it's because you're supposed to have the mouth of the cave lower than the floor of the cave. The other thing I remembered from my Boy Scout training, actually, which was about 35 years ago, was that you need a barrier of insulation between your body and the snow. You don't want to be lying directly on the snow, even if you have a sleeping bag, which of course I didn't. And that a really good source of insulation is pine boughs. The second day, I was out 48 hours before I was rescued, and the second day, I did notice that my stomach was growling. But among all the many sensations I was feeling, that was one of the lesser ones. It just wasn't an issue for me. When I was in the cave, I developed little kind of isothermic exercises that I could do to stay warm, and I found that if I would exercise vigorously for a couple of minutes, then I could rest for several minutes without shivering. And then when I started to shiver again, then I would exercise. And exercising would stop the shivering, and that I could have a period in between of several minutes when it didn't return. I kept saying, Alan, it can't snow forever. Sooner or later the snow is going to stop, and when it does, then you will be rescued. So just keep yourself safe until that happens. I had improved the cave the second day by adding more insulation and making a better door. So I felt that I was going to be warmer the second night than I had been the first, and I was actually more comfortable. I was sure that people were looking for me, and in fact I learned later there were 80 or 100 people out, volunteers and ski patrollers and so on. They had dogs. They were doing everything they could, but they hadn't found me, obviously. But when I heard that helicopter, then I had tangible evidence.
Just a word of caution before viewing the rest of this video. This video is designed simply as an overview of various emergency shelters. You should seek out the advice of experienced winter travelers before relying on these shelters for your survival.
Also, you should practice having fun building these emergency shelters in a comfortable environment. With practice, you'll be able to build a shelter quickly and efficiently should an emergency arise. Finally, consider your current weather conditions and the forecast. If you plan to do any snow hiking or camping, this part of your preparation is paramount. Don't make the mistake of generalizing about the weather. Get as much specific information as you can.
Today we're at the foot of Mount Rainier in Washington State. We're about 6,000 feet above sea level, and the temperature is about 20 degrees Fahrenheit. A certain amount of preparation is required if you're participating in winter sports such as snowshoeing, cross-country skiing, even winter camping. Being prepared for the outdoors in wintertime requires some physical preparation, knowledge of your equipment, and above all, knowing that something unexpected could happen.
This mountaineer has just put on his telemark skis and after climbing to about 11,000 feet on Oregon's Mount Hood is about to start down. It's a bright, sunny, and clear day. Trudging along, some other mountaineers notice the skier who's now starting down. After the skier falls, they come to his aid, and it is soon determined that the skier can't be moved without risking serious injury to his back.
That injured skier demonstrates just how easy it is to get into trouble while playing in the snow. It's just one scenario that illustrates just how useful a snow cave can be.
For our friends who have found themselves with an emergency on their hands, hypothermia could soon become a problem for the injured skier as well as themselves. Fortunately, all are well versed in first aid and the art of building snow caves. Keeping warm in winter conditions is a constant experiment because needs are different for each person. As the ambient temperature drops, mountaineers who are sweaty from climbing will immediately start cooling off regardless of what they're wearing. Anytime your body fails to maintain a core temperature of 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, hypothermia becomes a danger. Dr. James Wergler has practiced medicine in Yosemite National Park for the last 28 years.
When you get down to the shivering point, your body is actually going into one of the defense mechanisms to try and generate more heat. And to try and discourage shivering is not appropriate because shivering makes the muscles work.
At 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit, our body temperature is normal. When it drops a little more than 3 degrees, hypothermia begins to set in and we become lethargic and disoriented. If our core temperature drops further, the situation becomes life-threatening. Muscles tighten up, followed possibly by a coma.
As an increasing number of people seek to enjoy the outdoors in all seasons, snow caves are being used more and more as a means of winter shelter.
Snow caves are much more comfortable and quiet than tents in very windy and stormy conditions.
Whatever situation you find yourself in, there are several steps necessary in the construction of a snow cave.
Task number 1. Locate an area away from trees and shade. Why? Snow in shaded or protected areas may not be the best. Generally speaking, these areas don't get the volumes of snow that you might see in more exposed areas. Instead of a protected area, look for a snowdrift. These are sloped areas where snow has piled up. The large snowdrift that's been around for several weeks will have the best snow.
This sloping bank of drifted snow is going to be an ideal spot for us to start digging. It's one of the few places in this area where the snow is piled up deep enough to construct a snow cave.
Snow has fallen here for the last 2 months and has compacted nicely. Also, make sure the entrance to your snow cave is on the lee side of the mountain or drift, where the wind and weather have a more difficult time of entering. You want fresh air to enter the cave through vent holes and the entrance, but too much can make it too cold. As you look for the right location, search for the right kind of snow before building a snow cave. This may be a low priority if you have little time, but if time is on your side, take some and scout for good snow. Ideally, when searching for snow, the best snow cave material should be relatively old and consolidated. Take a close look at it. Is it wet? Dry? Is it corn snow? Is it ice hard? Generally speaking, new snow has not had time to naturally compact. The best snow for digging out snow caves has been around for a week or so. Good snow for caving will cling and block up on your shovel. Snow that easily breaks apart on your shovel is not compacted enough. And finally, task number 5, snow cave builders must make sure the front entrance can be easily accessed. This means, if your cave is to be located on a slope, carve out a level entrance pad. It'll make getting in and out safer and easier.
Having found the suitable location, our next step is the actual construction of the snow cave. Mark out the area we're going to work in. Just a cautionary word before you head out to construct a snow cave.
Make sure that you have everyone in your group doing something. This reduces the danger of hypothermia by generating body heat.
Show you how I do that later.
Someone could be busy firing up a stove for warm liquids. Obviously, this would be under ideal circumstances. Today, we have 5 people in our group, and the plan is to make one large cave. Large caves are more efficient with large groups. More people in a cave generate more heat, thus making it somewhat warmer for everyone. Here's a quick checklist for snow cave construction. If you can, find a half-dozen down branches about 2 feet long each. Insert these into the snow above where you intend to build the snow cave. And should you hit one while digging out the inside of the cave, you'll know that any higher and you may dig yourself out of the cave. Now you're ready for excavation. First, dig out a workspace at your entrance location. It should be flat and be able to accommodate 2 people with snow shovels. This enables more than one person to dig. By standing upright, it lessens the burden on your back and already tired muscles. The size of this workspace depends on how big your snow cave will be and how many people you want to shovel snow at the same time. Generally speaking, a 5-foot square area is big enough for one person, twice that for 2 people. Once you've got the workspace ready, start with one person digging out the cave and 1 or 2 people moving the snow away. As the cave gets bigger, 2 to 4 people can dig out the cave and 1 or 2 people can remove snow from the entrance, bucket brigade style. Hot liquids should already be available for those digging the cave. This keeps the snow cave builders hydrated and keeps each person's core temperature up when it's time for a break. As you dig deeper into the cave, it becomes more difficult to shovel snow away from the dwelling because excavated snow is now really piling up. This is where extra help becomes important. Well, I've been working pretty hard for about an hour. So far, we've got a cave big enough for one person. That's a pretty good time estimate for how long it'll take you to build your cave. Figure 1 hour per person. Initially, the workspace is very cramped, but pretty soon we'll have this thing large enough for 2 and 3 people to be working at the same time, and should go much faster at that point. Your intent is to start digging straight into a snowdrift. A few feet later, start digging up. As this graphic shows, you want to dig out a sleeping platform above your entrance. As body heat starts to warm the snow cave, the heavier cold air falls and is carried out through the entrance. After digging inside or shoveling snow outside for a short time, you'll be able to gauge your own energy and the energy of your fellow snow miners. As you continue to dig, make sure you carve out enough space for each person's sleeping bag and other gear. Once everyone is satisfied with the inside space, start refining the snow cave. To make your snow cave structurally secure, arch all ceilings. Arched ceilings can support more weight than flat ceilings. We're almost ready to move into this cave. It's big enough right now for about 3 to 4 people, and it's taken us about 3 to 4 hours to construct. On our last few passes with the shovel, we've tried to make the ceiling as smooth as possible. Any little projections that are left are going to tend to drip water during the night. Some other features are we've put some holes in the walls to hold things like candles, which are going to come in handy as it gets darker in here. Also, we will probably install some more holes to put our personal items and stove and things like that. One thing we've not done yet is to add our vent holes to the ceiling. An Avalanche Pro pole works great for that purpose. Just poke up until you feel yourself break through. If you're too zealous in punching out vent holes, this could happen. During an earlier snow caving trip, one caver really strong-armed a snow shovel shaft through the ceiling. The next morning, a huge crack had formed, and the ceiling was almost on our legs. This is what you want the inside of the snow cave to look like for a group of 5 people. Once completed, move in all your gear, packs, sleeping bags, and pads. We're about ready to call it a night. I suggest you bring your shovels inside with you in case blowing or drifting snow covers up your entrance during the night. You certainly want to be able to extricate yourself if that does happen. If it happens to be blowing really hard, you probably want to put a couple of packs in the entrance to keep the cold winds out. As our group settles in after dinner, let's look at some specific cave accessories that might make the evening more comfortable. Booties and chemical foot warmers can make an evening more comfortable if you have a tendency to get cold. Candle lanterns are long-lasting light sources.
Finally, some things to consider if you plan to camp in winter conditions.
In mountain climbing, wind is often a constant concern and will blow hard regardless of where you build. In an emergency, which often means getting warm and safe quickly, there's little choice but to build a snow cave where you're standing. If you don't have snow shovels, snowshoes, branches, pots, and ski poles can all be used to carve out comfortable snow caves. If you can't find ideal locations or snow, then you'll have to compact the snow with your feet. Also, locate your snow cave away from any potential avalanche hazard. We recommend a number of books at the end of this video which cover avalanche detection in greater detail. Learn to use a map, compass, and altimeter. They enable you to find your way out of a situation before an emergency develops. Carefully study the proven method of layering winter clothing. Ask any outdoor retailer about this. It's an essential step for any winter activity. Also, always travel with experienced snow campers. The more people you have on your trip who understand winter weather conditions, the better. And finally, snow shovels are a winter camping necessity and snow caving's essential tool.
I hope this video will make your next winter trip into the backcountry a little more safe and a lot more enjoyable.
Rolling, rawhide. Be able to show it to her. Okay, on the count of 3, 2,